Okay, in the last lecture you saw a new function that is called map. It takes two arguments. One is a function, the first argument is a function, and the second argument is the sequence, and it performs the function on each individual element of the sequence. Okay, so this is the map. Now let's learn about something new that is called filter. This is another function similar to map. It also takes a function as an input. The function can be a lambda function or user defined function or a built-in function, and a sequence. Okay, so it performs this function on the sequence, on each of the elements on the sequence, but the difference between these two is that this filter method transforms the sequence. What does that actually mean? Okay, let's take a look at the spider. So this is our original x. So when we run this function, run this code, this map lambda I is greater than 0. So it is actually if you try to look at the output, this is false because this is less than 0. This was a conditional statement provided. Then 7 was true, 4 was true, and minus 9 was false again. So let's copy it. So this was our original, and the output was like false, then true, then true, then false. Okay, something like this. Now what will happen if I use the filter method? Let's give it a look. If I write say f is equals to the same way list, I'll just remove the, instead of map I'll write here filter. Okay, the lambda is same, I'm keeping the lambda same, lambda I is greater than 0. I'm providing a conditional function. Okay, so what this is going to do, if you try to take a look at the output here now, as you can see it is returning 7 and 4. Why is that? It means that if we come here, so this 7 I have true in the 7, I also have true in the 4. Okay, but this two element has false because it does not satisfy this condition. So when you are calling this filter method, it is going to filter out some of the elements from our sequence. It is going to only return the elements that are true. Okay, so this is the concept. So it is only returning the elements that are true, that is 7 and 4. Okay, this is the concept that you learn in MATLAB, something that is called Boolean masking. Boolean masking, or you can say logical indexing, something like this I mentioned. Logical indexing. So in case of MATLAB you could do things like this Boolean masking directly. Okay, but in Python you cannot do it directly. You have to call this function filter, and you have to run the function on the sequence. It will filter out only the true elements. Okay, so I hope you got the idea. Now let's take a look at another example to make the concept much clearer. Let's come here. So in exercise 3, read the question. The question that is given here is that a list of country names are provided. Okay, USA, Russia, Bahrain, Djibouti. Now only return the names that starts with B. It can be a small b or capital B. If you try to look at here, there is a Bahrain with a small b, there is Bulgaria with capital B, in Brunei with capital B. I want to return the names, only these three country names. So I want to modify our list. I want to filter out some of the elements from the list. So when we have to do something like this, filter out some of the elements, things like this, I'll use the filter. Okay, instead of using the map for this kind of operation, I will use the map, and this kind of filtering operation I will use the filter. Okay, so let's come here. So what you want to do, list of, okay, filter, then the lambda. So the lambda, this is the iterator I, and what I want to do, I want to check. So this I is going to take the elements one at a time. First we'll take the USA, then the next iteration will take the Russia, then Bahrain, then Djibouti. So what we want to check is that whether the first character, when the first character, that is I of 0, okay, the first character is B or not. Okay, so I can do something like this, lower, because it can be capital B or small b. So I am providing here is that I of 0, the first element dot lower, is equals to b. Okay, I hope you got the idea. I hope it is clear to you. Now last, the sequence is our country. Okay, so I mentioned again, so I'm using the filter method to filter out some of the elements. First I put the function, second I put the list, the sequence. This is the sequence and this is our function. As you can see, when I'm writing the lambda, in the function there is no comma. Comma separates out the two things. Okay, now in the lambda, first I'm calling the iterator variable, and this is our conditional statement, that the first element I'm making it lower to make it match it with b directly, whether it is b or not. If it is b, this lambda this function filter will filter out the elements that satisfies this equation. Okay, so let's run it. As you can see, this Bahrain, Bulgaria and Brunei is returned, and also in the output the lowercase and uppercase letter is same as the country. Okay, this is not changing anything. This is only going to return the true or false using the logical indexing concept. Okay, so I hope you got the idea about filter. If not, try to pause the lecture and practice a little bit by your hand. I hope it will be clear. Before finishing, let's introduce another concept. Okay, the last concept is something that is called reduce. So reduce, so first we saw map, then we saw filter. Now let's take a look at reduce. It also works in the same way. It takes a function as input and a sequence as the second input. The difference is that it performs the function cumulatively. Okay, so what does it mean? Say for example, okay, let's do something like this. Okay, so I have total 4 elements here. Okay, so say I want to provide a function. I want to multiply all the elements. We have a function for summation. If I run this sum command, it is going to return the summation of all the elements. Okay, but there is no built-in function to get the product of the list, product of all the elements of the list. Okay, so what we can do here is that so let's come here. Okay, so I have already have something like this 2749. Okay, so I want to call a function that is called reduce, but one thing is important is that reduce is not included in the original Python library. So you have to call it. You have to call it from something that is called functools. So from function tools, okay, this is one module. I want to import reduce. Okay, so I have imported here. So what I'm going to do here, something like this. So reduce. Then I'm going to call a function. What is the function? This lambda function. I want to multiply two elements, 2 and 7. Okay, 2 comma 7. Then two elements, I want to multiply them together. Then I put the sequence, that is out. Okay, so what is going to happen here? Let's check the output. It is showing 504. If I multiply 2 by 7, okay, as you can see, it is going to return the multiplication of all the elements. So how it is actually working? Okay, let's try to understand that. So what is happening here when you call the reduce method? So reduce what it does that it takes two arguments, first two elements, okay, first two elements, and perform this function on the first two elements. Understand? In our sequence, this function should take two elements, okay, and it will perform the function on the first two elements. Then it is returning some output. 5 by 8, that is 40. Then by default automatically it will take the next element and multiply it, that means run the function with this 40 by 3, that is 120. Okay, then it will take the second element, last element, then multiply it with the result from the previous one, then it is going to provide the output, that is 720. Okay, I hope you got the idea. That is this reduce method performs this function pairwise. Okay, it will work on the first pair first, it will get a result, then with that result it will perform it with the next element, then with the result it will perform it with the next element, then next element. At the end it is going to return one single output, that is the output of the reduce. So it is reducing our function, it is going to reducing our sequence using this function. Okay, so let's take a look at one example to make the concept much clearer. Okay, so I hope you got the idea, you know the concept of factorial, and there was a function, built-in function, okay, in MATLAB to perform the factorial operation. The factorial is something like this. 5 factorial is multiplication from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3, 4 and 5. Okay, so the multiplication is 120. So this is the output of our 5 factorial. Now how to do that in Python? In MATLAB you could do it directly, there is a function factorial, but you cannot do it in Python, so we can use this reduce function to do that. So what we will do, so first we create a sequence, say for example x is equals to range of 1, 6. Okay, so this is our sequence. Now I will perform this one, reduce, then lambda. Okay, now when you are calling the reduce method, you have to take 2 elements as input. Okay, so I comma j, and you have to perform some operation, that's I multiplication with j, and then the sequence is x. Okay, if you run it, oh sorry, I have to define it first. Okay, now let's, as you can see, that is factorial is 120, and when you are calling the range, if you remember, the last one is excluded, so that's why I write 6. So if I write 8, so it is going to return the factorial of 7. Okay, so this way it will work. Now we can also check something like this. If I do like this, I plus j, so this is 28, it is going to sum up those things. You can also, let's try something like this. Okay, so I here what is happening, I have 1, so 1 to the power 2 or 3, everything is actually same. We can do something like this, 2. Now if we perform like this, you are going to see this is a huge range of numbers, 2 to the power 3. With that result it is going to perform again. Okay, this is a huge, and Python has a long, okay, it can store long value of integers. Let's make it 5. Now if we check, as you can see, now it is something lower. So I hope you got the idea of these 3 methods. One is a map, then filter, then reduce. Okay, so one other thing, before actually going any further, the thing that we want to do here, that is the this multiplication operation, this product operation, you can do it simply using the numpy array as well. In the numpy array, if you convert it to a numpy array, then you can use the product function. There is a product function in numpy array, then you can use that to perform this kind of operation instead of using this reduce. Okay, when using the reduce, you already calling a module, so you in numpy array you also have to call a module, so the same thing actually, so you can also do it like this way. Okay, so let's